Donald Trump is losing everything, and it is getting drastic for him, as his own influencers and political officials turn against him, from Marjorie Taylor Green to Thomas Massie, and even his own recent polls, which are the lowest in history for him. And it's not just one poll, it's across multiple. He is in the deep negatives because Donald Trump refuses to denounce the Epstein files, as he still tells America we have better things to do. But this exact rhetoric is why MAGA has been turning on him, and America refuses to be distracted or forget about these Epstein files. Trump has failed time and time again. However, he cannot outlie what people's eyes are seeing in the Epstein files for themselves, which we're going to get to in this video. However, let's take a clip of Trump announcing that we have better things to do than to go over the Epstein files, because just today, the Trump administration doubled down, saying they refuse to release any more files. They are done with their investigation. Let's take a look at this clip.
And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein.
Now, this was a statement he made just a little over a week ago after more files came out, and he is plastered all over those files. Now, to Donald Trump's statement that we have better things to be doing than getting justice for people that were abused and trafficked by the Epstein class is exactly why he knows he's going to lose the midterm elections. This is the Epstein class, and they've made their message loud and clear. They will protect billionaires' best interests over the needs, cries, and demands of Americans' voices. And rather than protect the Americans that need it most, our most vulnerable, our children as well, he would rather redact the names of the perpetrators and refuse to investigate or prosecute them, while at the same time having no trouble at all investigating and trying to prosecute his political enemies, such as Senator Mark Kelly, who told him to do his job, and he demanded he be executed and hanged. But that's exactly why Trump's approval rating has fell abysmally low. And before we get into Trump's polls, this is Mark Kelly right here. Trump had Pete Hegseth try to recall Mark Kelly after his 25 years of combat service as a Navy veteran and send him to 25 years to military prison for telling our military to follow the law when Trump was ordering them kill other people, because Trump was illegally deploying them in his own U.S. states, and then just a couple months later ended up murdering 120 Venezuelans and kidnapping their leader. So he wasn't even wrong after all. And a U.S. judge, of course, blocked this, and now he is countersuing Pete Hegseth and those involved. These are the types of investigations and prosecutions Trump is trying to run. Corrupt ones against citizens who follow the law and say to follow the law, while he protects the PDFs and Nazis of America, making the country worse for everybody. Because when we say he's losing everything, we mean everything. His polls are abysmally lower than his worst enemy in his own mind, and that is Joe Biden. And we're talking about almost double the points lower after COVID. We're not even in a pandemic, and Trump is negative 22 points. But let's see exactly why this is happening and take a look at this clip.
Happy Washington's birthday observed today. That's what it is in the state of New York. I'm a New Yorker through and through. Let's take a look at another president, though. President Donald John Trump. Look at this. I got 4 numbers across for you on this screen here. They are all second-term lows for the given pollster. What are we talking about? AP Newark, 26 points below water. NBC, 22 points below water. Yahoo YouGov, 20 points below water. Quinnipiac, 19 points below water. So we're ranging from negative 19 points all the way to negative 26 points. Kate, there's this question that folks keep asking, where is the floor for Donald Trump? And I'm not sure there is a floor, because if there is one, Donald Trump, at least in term number 2, has just fallen through it to another low level.
And it doesn't just end there for Trump, because independents hate him the most, where he actually is double the points lower than Joe Biden when Joe Biden was president after Trump's mess from COVID. So I guess the question most Americans have for Trump is it still Joe Biden's fault? Well, actually no, because Trump said Joe Biden was all over the Epstein files, but Trump was all over the Epstein files, and Marjorie Marjorie Taylor Green even says this in this video right here, saying he called her and told her that my friends will get hurt. This is before he completely abandoned her after she simply said she wanted to release the Epstein files. And Donald Trump, guilty as day, knowing he's in it, knowing what he did and that we were going to find out, decided to abandon the woman that helped him get elected. That is how bad this is. And since that day, we watched MAGA implode day by day from the inside. They have thinned out to where their voices are non-existent. Because what we're going to see after Marjorie Taylor Green speaks is MAGA influencers that are still there for the paycheck, still trying to defend PDF behavior. That is how far gone these people are. They are still trying to normalize this. Only it'll never be normal because the majority of America is tired of all of this. And Marjorie Taylor Green exposes Trump right here in this clip. Let's take a look at it.
Here's the interesting part. Okay, there were only 4 Republicans, only 4 of us that signed that discharge petition: Thomas Massie, myself, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. Now, what was happening in the background for months leading up to when we finally got it released is we were getting pressure from the White House. We were getting pressure from the speaker. Do not take your name off this discharge petition. And we're like, why? We're talking about the Epstein files. This is the ultimate promise. This is the ultimate way to provide transparency. This is the ultimate way to take it to the deep state and expose a whole criminal cabal of rich, powerful elites that I believe control everything. And guess what? Come to find out, they do.
They do.
And so we're like, why? So in the meantime, President Trump is calling it Epstein, the whole thing a hoax. Yeah. He's calling it a Democrat hoax. He won't have anything to do with the women. He still refuses to have anything to do with these women. They say you did nothing wrong. Right. This needs to come out. Right. And so we're having this argument. And he tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Obviously, that's it. Because they're all in here. Imagine the phone calls. It's everyone. It's every single person is on this freaking list.
There's only slight fake outrage in this clip right here, and that's them still pretending that Trump isn't in there when they both know for damn sure Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. However, this story is still effective because it gives us inside information on just how much they're breaking down from the inside. And just because a snake sheds its skin does not mean it's not a snake anymore. However, the fact that he said word for word, my friends will get hurt, their reputations will get ruined, even though they didn't do anything. But as we see in these files, they did everything. This is beyond PDF behavior. We're talking about serial killers who were potentially eating people and a bunch of powerful elites, the Epstein class, all knowing about this. This has grown bigger than just Epstein. We are talking about an entire group of people that engaged in these activities with him that are still here today. And Donald Trump refuses to prosecute those individuals. Why? Because they're his friends and he's in there too. However, we need more people that are going to call it like it is, like Thomas Massie and pretty much the rest of America who's been telling Trump to his face, where are the Epstein files, as Trump tries his hardest to cover it up, hoping people are just going to forget about it, but that's not going to happen. So with failing polls and a weakened support base that is leaving Trump in droves, you now have some MAGA influencers who have remained, which we've labeled as PDFs, PDF supporters, and now trying to normalize being a PDF in the Epstein files. Because here is this MAGA influencer right here, instead of just accepting reality that Trump is indeed in there and he's been accused of being a PDF multiple times, and multiple women that have accused him of doing those things to him ended up missing, never to be seen or heard from again. Many found unalived. And then the DOJ deleted that evidence off of their website, but we still have it. Well, you still have some PDF supporters and protectors still trying to make sense of this entire situation, instead of just admitting that they were wrong the whole time about everything. And it makes you ask who they're trying to convince. It must be themselves, because nobody else is buying it. We know what we saw. However, let's take a look at this MAGA influencer and their new excuse as to why Trump refuses to release the Epstein files. Let's take a look at this clip.
Differently than most everybody did.
Yeah.
I see the public being intentionally enraged in order to put pressure so that the people can be held accountable. That's what the fuck I see.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I could be wrong. Okay? And that's why I say, hey, you can't count on that.
Yep.
And you have to do your part to organize and get involved in all these things that we talk about.
In the event that fails.
Correct. The problem is I can't think of another way to do it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't think of another way to arrest heads of government or
without just saying fuck everybody, fuck the optics, don't give a shit. Like
because dude, if you don't have the public approval for that, you're the one that ends up getting held accountable. You don't think that Trump knows that? This isn't like, because dude, like if we find out Trump's involved in this,
okay, cool,
wood
easy.
chipper.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
I refuse to believe anybody is this intellectually inept. It used to infuriate me because I thought people like this were genuinely pretending to not know. But this is actually the remainder of MAGA, and this is as far as their capacity for intellectual conversations and critical thinking go, because they're in a cult, and in this cult you are not allowed to think for yourself or think critically, and you are especially not allowed to criticize the leader of that cult, even if he is a PDF that is murdering people, allegedly. And what's so ironic about what I just said is he addresses exactly what I said. I mean, look how uncomfortable he looks and how disingenuous his face looks as he speaks. Let's let him continue.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Like, this is not loyalty to anybody. This is me evaluating strategically how you would actually do it in real life. I mean, we all like to say, fucking do it. But if he had come in on the first day and arrested all these people, 90% of the people thought all this shit was fake.
Right.
Okay. And most people have no idea how deep the fraud has been.
Yeah, that's just the iceberg.
Right.
And
so
the whole rest of it's underneath.
Right. You have all these things coming to light at once.
They are going out sad as they protect PDF behaviors in the Epstein files. Let's not forget, these are the same people that said 15 isn't that bad and that is barely legal. These are the people that said you're only a PDF if they're under the age of 10. And by the Epstein files, they were under the age of 10 as well. The same people who said that if you weren't on Epstein's island in the past, you were just a loser. And the same people who are now implying Epstein isn't a PDF, but he's a fixer guy. Let's take a look at this clip of this Fox News host saying crazy things.
It looks like he's mostly just a fixer, a guy who advises. He helps people with their problems. Sometimes those problems are you need a girl and
or some penicillin.
Or some, if you need it, he's got it.
He's a sex rabbi.
He should perform at the halftime show next year.
Yes.
I mean, this is absolutely disgusting as they laugh at PDF behavior going on at the Epstein file. We are talking about covered up murders, rapes, torture, pictures, videos, strangulations, eating people, trafficking them, dehumanization, and they're over here laughing on TV, making jokes, implying Epstein is not any of that stuff. This is the remainder of MAGA, and we've said it time and time again. The only remainder is PDFs, PDF supporters, and not. Especially Pambani, who said, forget the Epstein survivors, at least the DOW is over 50,000, as they put Ghislaine Maxwell in a minimum security prison for doing Trump a favor and clearing his name of being in the Epstein files before we got the Epstein files. And then we got the Epstein files, and his name was all over the Epstein files, over 1 million times. And here's Virginia Jeffrey even speaking of just how evil Ghislaine Maxwell was, as these people try to normalize them and do favors for them. The same people that have lied about being the Epstein's island, and then we find out later in the Epstein files, many of them were best friends with Epstein. They bought homes from him for $10. They talked about eating pizza to him. They referred to their children as pizza slices with him in these emails. And Virginia G was uncovering it all, from Prince Andrew to Donald Trump to Ghislaine Maxwell, and in this clip right here, she explains just how cunning and dangerous Ghislaine Maxwell was, as the remainder of MAGA laughs at her experience and other survivors' experience as well. Let's take a look at this clip.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein, that she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio, and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep, she was pulling the strings. She had his money. He had her contacts, but Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
And we can fully believe that by Ghislaine Maxwell's depositions against Epstein. She chooses her words very carefully and just sent Trump a bribe a few days ago, saying that if he grants her clemency, she will once again prove his name is innocent in court when speaking against the Epstein files, meaning we cannot trust Ghislaine Maxwell. Matter of fact, she needs to go back to a maximum security prison because she's not even legally supposed to be at a minimum one, where she's been receiving special privileges such as a laptop and unlimited access to a puppy. She can can also go to the facilities in the prison at any time she wants and have personal meetings with the warden. And we know this because that facility has had 12 whistleblowers, to include other prisoners there, saying Ghislaine gets treated exceptionally well, and she's the only one that gets special provisions at that minimum security prison. And one of those prisoners actually ended up getting sent to a maximum security prison by the warden for telling the news exactly about how well Ghislaine Maxwell is being treated at that prison that Trump had her sent to, which he claims he has nothing to do with, of course. And remember, she was sent there right after testifying in a hearing that Trump had nothing to do with anything bad going on in the Epstein files. However, on one hand, while you have the Epstein class trying to defend Trump, on the other you have MAGA influencers who are questioning Trump. This is Joe Rogan, who's been speaking about this seemingly daily. You also have former Trump supporters releasing essays on social media every single day saying they're done with this. Every video we show at least one example of this, claiming that they're done with Trump after everything, and the Epstein files was apparently their breaking point, which many people might ask, how could your breaking point not have been sooner than that? However, that doesn't change the fact that this is the end for the Trump administration, because this is the Epstein class, and we're watching it crumble in real time. I mean, this might be the biggest discovery of corruption in American history, and it will change everything, which is why they're trying so hard to keep this Epstein file thing hidden from the public. And before we get to that Joe Rogan clip, we even have Kristi Noem publicly saying that they want to stop people from voting in elections. They only want the right people voting. Let's take a look at this clip, because talk about a Freudian slip.
And elections is another one of those critical infrastructure responsibilities that I have as well. And I would say that many people believe that it may be one of the most important things that we need to make sure we trust is reliable, and that when it gets to election day that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country through the days that we have, knowing that people can trust it.
So let's get this straight. We need to have the right people voting to elect the right leaders. You know, they use Charlie Kirk's memorial to say and do the exact same thing. These are the voting booths Trump set up at Charlie Kirk's memorial, using his death to further try to program people during their grief. Charlie Kirk wants you to register to vote. This comes after they used Charlie Kirk to push their racist narratives and further divide the country, which was working. Or how about worship is a right, not a privilege? Or maybe using people's religion against them, saying vote for leaders who serve God, not themselves. As Trump has come to the realization many moons ago that Christianity makes up about 66% of America, at least as of 2024. Do you know what also happened in 2024? Randy Fine, a MAGA congressman, illegally voting for other people and getting caught on camera. Let's take a look at this clip.
Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery.
Looking around to see who's watching and then doing it really quickly, but somebody caught your suspicious activity before it even happened. Now the question is, what is it with MAGA and breaking the law and then defending it later? I mean, we just watched him defend it, and if you saw my previous video, then you saw about a dozen MAGA get sent to jail for being a PDF. And why do they all happen to line up with exactly what we've been saying for the past couple months about the remainder of MAGA, that they're all PDFs, PDF defenders, and not because Randy Fine, that same congressman, just made a post recently saying if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. Why do they all fit the exact same description? Well, they support a criminal PDF, so we're not surprised by the behavior. Now let's get to this clip of Joe Rogan yet again calling out billionaires for being in the Epstein files, covering it up, and then using aliens and bombing Iran to distract us.
Crazy. Yeah. Bro, but these files, just what's come out so far, and the fact that they redacted men, these like powerful billionaire guys, their names were redacted. Like there's one of them where he's talking about pandemic planning.
What?
Where Jeffrey Epstein is talking about pandemic planning to someone named Bill, whose name is redacted. It's like, why are you redacting the guy's name that you're talking about planning for a pandemic, like what to do in response to a pandemic? Well, why is his name retracted?
So
or redacted, rather.
When are they supposed to testify? When are the Clintons supposed to testify? Would you say they're gonna 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's the last 2 days.
Did you say the aliens are coming in the next 2 weeks?
I think
they're gonna land.
I think that's
something's gonna happen.
Up just before that testifying.
Yeah, it'll be we bomb Iran, aliens show up, maybe at the same time. Yeah.
This is the end of the Epstein administration. And it is only a matter of time before we get to midterms and Donald Trump is impeached, if he even makes it that far. I honestly do not think this makes it past maybe April. I mean, there is way too much evidence stacked up against this entire administration. And the power right now belongs to the people, which is exactly why Trump is trying to set elections up in his favor to intimidate and persuade. Because let's not forget that Steve Bannon said, and Trump said in the Post, that they planned on sending ICE to voting booths.
You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen.
What a crazy statement to say, because if elections were truly being stolen and Trump wasn't able to become the president, then why was he the president this time and why was he the president the first time? Well, that's because they're all lying. The target audience is for people who do not have enough time in their day to learn what's going on, so they keep saying things over and over again with propaganda until they start believing it's true. Trump then pays the rest of his political machine and MAGA influencers to parrot exactly what he says, and then he gets MAGA stuck in this loop of incredible amounts of propaganda to where they hear it left and right everywhere they go all over social media. And now their entire reality is disinformation and an illusion, and the only truth they know about is Trump. This is the MAGA machine, and it's why they're always smiling as they say things like this. Because MAGA, their own support base, is a joke to them. I mean, these are the same lies before the Epstein files came out, like Donald Trump Jr., Trump's son, saying at least he's not in the Epstein files, only to find out that he had lunch with Epstein on more than one occasion. Here is that clip, and then we're going to go to that exact email. Let's take a look at this clip.
I am on every list except the Epstein list. We haven't heard anything about that one in a while. I'm fine with all the other lists. As long as I'm not on the Epstein list, we're good, right? Speaking of which, how is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right, folks? It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right? We're not allowed to say they're groomers, but when they act a lot like groomers, sort of tells you everything you need to know, right?
Does that make you a groomer, Donald Trump Jr.? Is right here before Epstein died in January 2019. Can we do a coffee with Donald Jr. Thursday, Friday, only if easy? As you know, I like people that are funny. Then they worked out the dates. Or how about in 2016 from Jeffrey Epstein, 4th, I'm in Palm with all the Trump boys. Fun. Because not only did Trump lie saying he never spoke to Jeffrey Epstein again after he threw him out because Trump was stealing his women, quote, quote, when there's an entire different story from the women saying that Trump was trapped them to Epstein, not only through Mar-a-Lago, but through his modeling agencies, and it's all over the Epstein files from different women all around the world with the same exact story from the same exact culprits. But after Trump won his election here in December 2017 from Jeffrey Epstein, he said in the email, "Some at dinner with Donald last night were concerned about his dementia. Tons of makeup did not recognize old friends." Matter of fact, Donald Trump Jr., you appeared in the Epstein files over 40 times. However, we now can't find those documents anywhere again. Why is the DOJ hiding the entire Trump family out of the Epstein files? Well, we know exactly why. And I guess they missed one. So when people said Trump's not smart, they were absolutely correct. He has an entire machine behind him, including Steve Bannon, who was Jeffrey Epstein's alleged best friend at the time as well. I mean, these two are also plastered all over the Epstein files. Not as much as Trump, but it's just so interesting how he was advising Epstein back then and now he's advising Trump now. Why is everybody who's part of the Epstein class so linked together? And why do they all work in this current administration for Donald Trump? And as a reminder of just how guilty they are, here is Steve Bannon himself saying they are going to prison after midterms. Let's take a look at that clip.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Talk about a confession. Well, now we see exactly why MAGA is abandoning Trump and their incredibly long essays as to why. This is because Trump serves nobody but himself. He helps nobody but himself. And the only people that benefit off of Trump's actions is the Epstein class. There is nothing Donald Trump desperately wants more than for America to stop talking about the Epstein files, but that's not going to happen because unfortunately for him, there is nothing he can do to further divide this this country, as this country comes together more and more every single day. That is the Trump administration's worst nightmare, because when there's no one else to believe their lies, the only thing that's left to tell people is the truth. And the truth is, if Trump refuses to hold himself accountable, then the rest of America will. So with that being said, release the unredacted Epstein files, Donald Trump. Bring justice to the Epstein survivors, to Renee Good, to Alex Preddy, to Keith Porter Jr., and follow the law. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure to have a wonderful day. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.